I would like to welcome our speakers for today in the evening. That is Hina Sharma and Vani Mittal. So Hina Sharma is the development manager at IBM. Vani Mittal is an architect at IBM. Hina Sharma and Vani would be delivering an interactive talk session on ethical AI leadership, balancing innovation and integrity for CXOs. So I hand over now to Hina Sharma and Vani Mittal.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, to share the screen.
Yes, I will share. Just give me a minute. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. So thank you. Welcome, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to our session on ethical AI leadership. So let me move on to the agenda. So here's a quick look at the questions that we will try to answer today in this session. First is, why should leaders care about AI? And more importantly, why should they care about ethical AI, right? And then what is the current landscape of AI ethics? What are the adoption challenges? Finally, how do we cultivate a culture of AI ethics in an organization? So we believe that responsible AI development requires a holistic approach that covers people, processes, and technologies. Now, in this session, we are focusing more on the people and processes part, not so much on the technology part. So let's start with our first question. Why should AI matter to CXOs? So because it's coming for your job, maybe not literally, but the reality is that AI is fundamentally reshaping industries and leadership roles. And if you're not leading the change, you might find yourself being changed, right? So the question isn't whether AI will impact your role, but how you will leverage it to stay ahead. Now, McKinsey estimates that Gen AI could contribute up to $4.4 trillion annually to global corporate profits, which is an astonishing figure, right? And companies are moving from a plus AI mindset, where AI is merely added on top of existing processes, to an AI plus approach where AI becomes the foundation of how the business operates and evolves. And this shift means rethinking products, rethinking workflows, and even culture, an organization's culture through the lens of AI. So the companies that will lead in the coming decades are those that choose to become AI first organizations that embed AI into the core of their strategy and execution. Okay, so AI is important for the business. Now, in our second question, so we're not debating whether AI ethics matters or not. I mean, I hope all of us agree that ethics are important. And we have heard enough news stories about how an AI mishap can turn a company into a cautionary tale rather than a success story. So our question today is, should leaders take direct ownership of AI ethics, or can they simply delegate it to their teams? Now, why should CXOs take charge? CXOs are used to being in the hot seat, right? Only the toughest problems land on their desk, and how those problems are solved often defines an organization's future. So a strong example you can think of is Satya Nadella at Microsoft. So when he became CEO, Microsoft was struggling, but he tackled the challenges head on, shifting the company to a cloud and AI first strategy. So his decisions at the top didn't just solve immediate problems, they redefined Microsoft's future. So how CXOs choose to adopt Gen AI may be one of those defining moments. So, will they unleash a rogue AI or will they champion a responsible AI? And CXOs also face a tough balancing act. They have to move carefully to avoid the AI risks, but they still need to act fast to maintain their competitive edge. Now, in a recent survey, 64% of CXOs said that they face significant pressures from investors and stakeholders to accelerate the adoption of Gen AI. And AI ethics is not just about doing the right thing. There is a solid business case also behind it. So it makes business sense. So around and the executives, the leadership of organizations recognize that. So around 75% of executives recognize that AI ethics is a source of competitive differentiation for them, but less than 25% of them have been able to put the principles of AI, and ethics into practice. So due to that, they are willing to forego the benefits of AI. So because they are reluctant to implement AI without the ethical guardrails around it. So they recognize that AI is like a powerful river. So a river can be a source of life, but without its banks or without a dam on it, it can cause flooding and widespread destruction. So the same holds for Gen AI. Now, some of you may be thinking that AI falls within the technology domain and therefore it's the CTO's responsibility. But AI transcends code and algorithms and models. So the discussion about AI is shifting from being confined to IT departments to becoming a central point of debate in boardrooms. Now, if you consider AI from the perspective of some of the key executives focusing on their daily concerns, the risk of unethical AI becomes all too clear. Now, the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer, is focused on protecting the margins and managing the financial risk. Now, damaged customer trust from privacy breaches or unfair AI interactions can lead to lost revenue or can result in costly lawsuits and regulatory fines. Now, these directly impact the bottom line, of course, and the investor confidence. For the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer, the brand is everything. AI-driven marketing campaigns that can perpetuate or promote harmful stereotypes or use customer data without consent can lead to a public backlash and erode customer trust. So a single AI-generated misstep can undo years of brand equity and trust. And ultimately, the CEO is responsible for the organization's ethical conduct. The CEO is accountable to the board, to the shareholders, and to the public. And unethical AI reflects poorly on the entire organization's culture and leadership. Now, let's move on to the next question. What is the current landscape of AI ethics? And I will hand it over to my co-speaker, Hina.
Thank you, Vani. Vani, can I share my screen? If that's fine.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So Vani took us through the fact that AI is important, which all of us know, of course. But does it matter only to us who are building the software or any application? Or does it matter to the leaders as well? And now we are all very clear, it matters to the entire chain. Now, before we move on to the current landscape, let me take you to a couple of interesting instances where AI failed. Starting with iTutor groups. Now, iTutor group actually brought in AI, experimentation of AI for recruiting purpose. And what was found at the end of it was that it was rejecting candidates who were above a certain age, which comes under the biasness part of AI, unethical part of AI. And therefore, they had to stop, recruiting through the AI application. The other interesting one is the Amazon's AI enablement recruitment tool, which was recommending only men for their job openings and rejecting women. Again, this comes out to be a biasness against women. Now, how did this biasness come is a separate thing to discuss, which of course means that the data that they had was not correct. And how did they get the data is out of this thing. But the point is, if AI doesn't work as expected, it brings down cost. It brings down the revenue. It increases your cost, and at the same time, it brings a very bad name to that organization. And these two are just to mention here, but we have examples from McDonald's, rejecting orders because of some reason, and many other big companies out there. So, which brings down to a challenge. So, CXOs, be it CTO, be it CEO, they are very wary of should they go in for AI or no. These were the few challenges as per one of the research conducted by IBM, wherein we have the data of the challenges that CXOs today feel, because of which they would not want to go into AI, because of which they will be little preventive to get their applications moved to AI. And the biggest one that has come as 45% is the concern about data accuracy. The examples that we gave you before may be right, maybe the data is there, maybe initially there was a bias that to recruit more of men than women. But AI cannot do that. The data has to ensure that there's a balance. There is no biasness in the data that is being fed to the AI models. The second, if you see, is 42% say that insufficient proprietary data available to customize the models, which means that the data itself is not enough so that they can train the model well. And when they say proprietary data, is like organizations' proprietary data or wherever they are getting it from. We don't know the source of data. Unstructured data coming in from comments, views, and all those things is not proprietary data. And furthermore, if you move, you have the financial justification or the business use cases, which are not sufficient enough. And moving on to, it's not aligned to your strategy and other thing. But the thing that we have to notice here is the biggest challenge for any organization today to move into AI is the ethics part of the data. Be it biasness, be it the proprietariness, or the expertise that they have, but overall data front. So what is the AI adoption rate? Now, as I told you, with all those challenges, even if they want, CXOs are not able to move ahead quickly on the AI front. 30% of the executives in 2024, they wanted to experiment more. They did not want to quickly go into, getting into AI. But 2025 scenario has changed. It was 6% of experimentation. And moving on, I think now we are already at the end of 2025, 26, 27, we will see more of these organizations moving fully into AI. And that we were discussing in our afternoon session as well, where now companies are, making it mandatory for you to use AI in your coding, AI in your, PR reviews, AI in the testing part. So companies have already started moving on to that front, bringing in AI into their products as well. So so experimentation is now coming down, and eventually it will come down more. Innovation part is certainly increasing, but even today, getting full time into production is still a cause of concern. So 46% plan in 2025 to scale their AI, still not above 50%. So we can see that getting into production is still a concern for the organizations. Empowering people. So success with AI depends on democratizing decision making. So how will you innovate more? How will you be more confident? How will you ensure that the AI that you are integrating in your product is trustworthy? And this can happen only if your people are empowered enough, if your employees are knowledgeable enough of the AI, the problems that AI can bring in. Even today, when you write a prompt on ChatGPT, it can be injected. And you would not even know, that your prompt is getting injected. So it is up to that level that we need to be aware that what I'm writing, what data am I giving to that model? Is it confidential data? Should it be leaked out? I personally, as an employee of my organization, I have to be very, very sure what am I giving to the models. So yeah, so security guardrails and all, which try to prevent. So for example, AWS has that service where if I am writing the name of my customer in the prompt, it will mask that name by itself. If I'm writing something confidential which should not be given, if it cannot be masked, the services will remove that part from my prompt. So security guardrails are coming in place, but still we are not there. Still the hijackers, the hackers are winning on us. So we have to be very careful, and organizations need to take that step of ensuring that their organization, the people in the organization are equipped enough to understand the harm of unethical AI. So we know the current landscape now. We know that from experimentation, we are now moving towards innovation, but still getting fully into the production is still a cause of question. So how do we get into that ethics, right? All of us know that guardrails are into place and all, but then can there be a process that can be set up for organization to ensure that they are building ethical AI? They are onto that particular roadmap already. These are the regulations. So first step is being taken by the government, as always. Anything that is danger to an organization is a danger to a country as well. So governments are coming now and then with new rules, new policies. If a new, crisis has come in, they will come up with a new rule accordingly. So here we have data till 2023, where we see in 2017, the Canadian government started with the AI strategy part, regulations on AI. Japan started with that. 2020, Australia built their own AI ethics framework to ensure that whatever is going out of the organization is being followed by those particular regulations. United States, China, UK, and if we see Canada, US, and again, they're building more. So anytime government observes something happening, a new rule, a new regulation will be brought up. So the government is certainly doing their job, but that's certainly not enough. Now coming on to the principles of trust and transparency. If I am using AI, what are the principles that I have to ensure that transparency is there? So first of all, using AI, organizations have to build that trust in us that we are not replacing humans. We are enabling humans with the use of AI. The second is data and insights belong to the creator. And I think this had come up as part of the paintings and the portraits that AI builds. Is it really AI's creation, or does that picture or the portrait still belongs to the creator? So to have that trustworthiness, AI has to ensure, or the AI builders have to ensure that the whatever data they are using still belongs to the creator. If I'm using, say, MF Hussein's painting, and I as a prompt, I say, give me an MF Hussein painting, and AI builds it for me, it is still the proprietary of that particular artist. And it is more concern in the field of art, be it music, be it images, be it any form of art that AI helps us build today. So that is one ethical AI part that the creators have to ensure. And new technology must be transparent and explainable, which we will talk now in the pillars of trust. So the first one is the explainability. So these are the 5 pillars on which your AI. So when I say pillars of trust in any organization who is building a product which is integrating AI into it, they have to ensure that the AI being used into it is explainable, it is fair, it is robust for any outliers coming in. The AI has to be robust. transparency has to be there, and privacy of the data. Starting with explainability. Now, I build a product, which is suppose a dashboard that is there, and this dashboard gives me some output. Now, as a user of that dashboard, I really need to understand what was the basis on which this particular data was provided to me, or this dashboard gave me the performance ratings of different products added to that dashboard. Now, this is the responsibility of the AI model. On the analysis that it has done, it has to give me a readable, a NLP-based output. That this was the reason this data was, or this analysis was done on your product. The fairness, as we spoke of the biasness before, and it is mainly on the basic fronts that biasness happens. So those biasness have to be controlled. Your data has to be a balanced data. The data on which you are training your models has to be very balanced data. So as an organization, I have to ensure that I'm doing a well enough cleaning of my data. I'm doing the required data engineering, so that whatever data I'm giving to my model is fair by itself. And that is how it will be trained better. And finally, when it goes into production, it will give the right judgment. So when I'm recruiting a person, I'm not seeing which is a man or a woman. Is he above 50 or below 50? I look at the resume. I look at the skills. And that is how I reject or select a candidate. Coming on to the robustness part. When I say robustness, it means that the AI model should be strong enough to handle any amount of data, to handle any amount of, when I say outliers, right? Any condition that is exceptional condition. The examples here could be that during the sale period, when the number of people exceed, AI should still be strong enough to tell me that your cart is, having that item to be sold, to be bought. So that is the robustness part of AI. Transparency, again, similar to fairness, explainability. The design of the AI should be transparent. I should know that which models are being used, what type of token limit is there, the temperature is there, and other features that are there at the playground level. And privacy, if your product is using customer sensitive data, if your product is using any data which should not be brought out in public, AI system has to be strong enough to safeguard that customer specific information. So these are the pillars of trust of AI. And as a leader, it will be my duty to ensure that these pillars of trust are in the product that I'm building. So as a manager in my team, I need to ensure that my team adheres to these pillars of trust. And as CXOs, they have to adhere that their organization adheres to these pillars of trust. Foundation of responsible AI. Now, how these pillars of trust can be implemented, right? So we have the models that we use, we have the data that we use, and the overall process of how I'm building this AI based product. Trust in data, I think we did discuss the quality of your data, the cleaning of your data, the normalization of your data. It has to ensure that it is giving me balanced information. And for that, we have experts out there. Those experts have to ensure that this is fair. Trust in the models, again, the training of the model that you do with the data, of course, that training has to ensure that. So when you're testing your model, test it on different fronts. Test it on the point that what if I give, resumes of 10 boys and 1 girl? What does it say? Does it think that only boys can go for a technical job? No. That means the data is not good enough. The model is not giving you the right output. So that we have to ensure, and trust in the overall process of the organization. Every product should go through all the compliance, all the reporting part, whatever processes are there, everything should be followed. And only if a product passes those particular compliance and the rules and the regulations, only then it should be allowed to get into the market. The next question is, as an organization, how can I build the protocol? How can I ensure that, yes, I will be able to follow the, sorry. Okay, so the first is you build a committee, AI committee, where you will have an AI leader. So we have chief AI officers now. You build that committee, which will have to ensure that all the AI processes are getting followed. This committee then forms an AI ethics board where your trust officers, your CAIO, everyone will be together. And finally, the focal points, which are the employees of the organization, the business units of the organization, everyone at every stage has to follow all these processes. Last but not the least, now we'll quickly discuss on the role of each leader to ensure how in their business unit they can ensure ethical AI. So C-suite leaders like the CEOs, the CTOs, they have to ensure that the mandates are there. The entire organization is aware of why we are bringing in AI. Are we just bringing in because the market is building AI, or do we have a purpose? Do we have that growth mindset within ourselves that no, AI is the need of the hour because my product will function nicely, my customers will be happy, my organization will be able to have a pie in the market share. Business unit leaders, they have to ensure that whatever AI they are bringing in, they are ready to take that risk, but the risk appetite should be there. Even if a product fails, they should be able to quickly come back. The examples of iTutor and Amazon and all, they did come into the market. They failed, but they were quickly able to revert it back and not affect the organization at a high level. That particular part is the unit leaders part. The HR leaders, of course, they have to ensure that the literacy is there. They can have trainings, they can have sessions, they can talk to people, they can ensure that every business unit is talking amongst each other. This will be the part of HR leader to ensure that the AI ethics are getting followed. Fourth, IT leaders who are building the AI engineers here. We are talking of the people who are building this AI. They have to ensure that whatever product they build or whatever ethical part they bring in, the fairness, the explanation, is not dependent on a model. It's model agnostic. They are talking the language of business, which means that if they are into the financial markets, they should understand what are the risks in the financial markets. How can I ensure that the ethics part of AI in the financial market, it will be my data, the customer data, the financial data of the customer is being protected. The overall AI leadership, we spoke of the AI board, the AI ethics. They have to ensure that whatever is being built in the organization, all the processes, the regulations, the compliance part, everything is being followed. The engineering team and how the teams are adopting AI. Is it just a simple use case that they are building, or they are actually building on it a holistic way? Everything comes under the part of AI leadership. And finally, ethics and data privacy. This again, the roles are merged here. The AI leadership and ethics, the privacy leaders, they have to ensure that the employees, each and every employee is enabled enough, is empowered enough to take the right decisions. And that will come through the right training, the right mindset of every employee in the organization. So this is from our side. Thank you very much for listening. Any questions?
Hina and Vani, I have a question. Like you mentioned about Amazon and iTutor, right? So in the recent news, we had heard that one of the IT giants, they had issue with the Australian government report that they submitted, and it was a AI mistake which happened, right? Which for which they had to pay the penalty amount. So there can be a lot of things which can go beyond control, right? Because of the unethical ways in which we are doing, or maybe how much to test, where to stop. That is something which the industry is trying to understand. So what are your thoughts while we are dealing with, because it impacts the entire organization, right? And as you mentioned about the temperature and tokens, those are the bounding criteria also. Because if we overspend tokens, obviously the testing would be limited considering the things that we would have. So how we balance the ethical and unethical bit of it, and with that, try to do the maximum work based on the criticality of it.
Right. I'll
Any
quickly
thoughts on
then probably I'll give it to Vani also.
Sure.
So what you
Sure.
are talking about, Harpreet, we've seen that news, and it was very shocking because it was not something that, between two employees that report was shared. It was an Australian government, right? And they had the financial data incorrectly put up there. So yes, we all know that AI hallucinates, right? If it's not getting the right data, it will put something or the other and ensure that you get the response, right? So I think the mistake here is part of one, it was not told that they will be using AI to generate the reports, right? It was all internal. So the trust part, the explanation part, fairness part, again, is already a question here. So that organization anyways did a blunder because of, not disclosing. Secondly, we saw the AI ethics board part, which means that it has to go through multiple levels of reviews. It has to be ensured because AI is not that robust today. We want to build robust AI. It is not robust, and all of us know it. Even a simple test case we cannot give without reviewing. So yeah, so I think these were the two things which when I was reading the news, I felt that it was not disclosed. The transparency, the pillars were anyways not met. So it was wrong. And secondly, the AI ethics board that they would have probably missed to review it properly. Yeah. Vani, maybe you can add on to Harpreet's question on how can we have a balance on it.
No, I
Yeah.
think you've covered it well, and it is a culture failure. I mean, whenever AI fails, the root of it is a culture failure, right? So, from the root of the organization, be it and these things have to come top down. So that's why we are discussing how CXOs can, can bring that culture. It will not come. It's not a new AI engineer who has joined today your organization who will build that culture, right? It has to come from top down. So it's always a culture failure. I feel like whenever this happens, yeah. So the culture is the important part that needs to be built.
Sure. I have one more question. Or maybe if somebody in the audience also have, they can put up on the chat. Meanwhile, I'll just go ahead with my question. So, what do you think? Is it with AI, the human impatience is the reason, or it's a technology trend which is pushing people to go fast? And with the structure which you have suggested, which is the AI board, right? It will delay some of the process, right? Wherein, so how do you would suggest like the people should adopt the AI board kind of a structure wherein it gets through the process and approvals through a particular chain of bodies before we release any kind of software, right? So what should be the lead time and all in the ground from an implementation point of view? If you can quote with some example, that would be great.
Yeah, Vani, what do you?
Yeah, so there has to be a balance, obviously. So we know that AI will give you a competitive edge. It will, help with your business, with any organization's business. So, and there has to be a balance, and probably once you initially it may take some time to put the culture, to put the governance in your organization, but once it's there and once it starts working like a well-oiled machine, I don't think it will add too much time to your overall process. And then we all know, I mean, it's better to be late than your organization just getting destroyed because you made a mistake, you made an AI blunder, and that those blunders don't happen privately. They they just get advertised everywhere, and then once your organization's reputation is gone, you're not left with anything.
Agree.
So yeah.
Agree. Yeah. Thank you so much. These were the only questions that I had. Anyone in the audience, they have any questions, feel free to raise your hand, unmute, or put it on the chat. We'll just wait for 1 minute in case everybody want to. Else, we can conclude the session. Okay, so I think there is Shashank, if you're still around, can you formally thank our speakers, Hina and Vani?
Yeah. So thank you for a wonderful session, Hina and Vani.